morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and welcome to Monday as the countdown to Christmas is upon us. It is now the 12th of December. I hope you had a great weekend out there getting everything done. 800-951-0592. Take the time, add to your portfolios. I mean, gold and silver are setting up for a very big 2023. AllAmericanGold.com. That's the website to keep you in the know. It's Monday, so we always have my son, Joey's joining us from Northwestern Mutual. He's been on week after week after week after week after week telling you, listen, you need to get prepared and get your portfolio set for 2023. And it is amazing because it really does take a mindset. You got to get in that mindset, like buying gold and silver. You almost got to psych yourself up to get there and say, okay, you know what? I am going to take my financial well-being into my own hands. And that can be scary for a lot of people. They just seemingly, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just, hey, I'm worried I won't be able to do it, or I'm not ready to make that commitment. It's kind of like that person who needs to lose weight. They usually always, after Christmas and New Year's, I'm going to get with it. It's really, whenever you're finally ready, it's time. But Joey, this year, maybe more than ever, the sooner you get ready, the better.
Yeah, the sooner we do get ready and set ourselves up, the better it will be. And it's really it's a mental game, right? We're afraid of the commitment, or we just don't think that we have the means to hit retirement or put away money or things like that. And I know we're in scary times economically and politically. The market's been down and really where we're with our money. But before we kind of, wanted to dive into that, and I think it's kind of good timing with Christmas on the horizon, is just, making sure we're taking the time to tell the people in our lives that matter to us, our family and friends, that we love them and that we're always here for them. I had a plan on talking about some mindset things today, but actually just, got some bad news. One of my good buddies and best friends in college, his mom passed away unexpectedly today. And, we're going to go take him out to dinner and be there for him. But, I just want, everyone to send a text out to your mom, your dad, Dad, I love you. And I sent Mom a text this morning telling her I love her, but just making sure that we're taking the time to tell our loved ones that we appreciate them, right? And making sure that we're letting people know that we care about them and that we're here for them. And I've been reflecting on myself, and I've been so caught up with work and business and things like that, now is a better time. There's no better time than now to reach out to the ones you love and let them know that you're here for them and that you appreciate them, because life is crazy. We're only here for a short time, and we just got to make sure that we don't take things for granted and that we're really reaching out to those we love. Because, at the end of the day, we do it for our family, we do it for our friends, and making sure that we don't lose track of that. And it kind of, I know it's morbid, but it segues into financial planning, which is making sure that, hey, at the end of the day, if I pass away, my family's taken care of. While emotionally it's going to be tough, it's going to hurt, but financially, that they're going to be okay and they're going to be set up and they're going to live the same life they had. It might just be without you, but at least that you took the time of day to have those conversations, those tough conversations with someone, and make sure you're providing for your family even when you're not here or around. And I've had a couple of things happen like this recently, and I just wanted to open up to all the listeners here and let them know that I'm a human too. I get it. We all have family. We have loved ones, and sometimes life is crazy and things get in the way from us doing some planning. But I just want to urge everyone, at the very least, at the end of the show today or anything like that you reach out to the ones you love and you let them know that, hey, you love them and I'm here for you. Wish them happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is you celebrate. And just letting people know that we're here for them. So, Dad, I appreciate you, and I thank you for everything you've done for me and giving me the opportunity to come on to the show every Monday. It means a lot. I'm 23 years old, I really haven't experienced too much of life, but if one thing I want people to take away today is that our time here is limited and that we need to make sure we let our family and friends know that we love them and we're here for them today.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to that. And I love you. And it's always hard when things like this happen. And it seems like it's happening more and more to what I'll call the unexpected, right? This isn't people that, okay, hey, they're 75, 80, 85, 90, okay, you're kind of planning for that. But people, they're in their 40s and 50s, and we're seeing so many more of these situations seemingly rise up and just catch everybody off guard. So I encourage, I'll echo that. I always do. I think the holidays is the time to reach across and always try again, especially ones, there's always those strained relationships and family. Hopefully around the holiday time, people can put that behind them and really just share their love for one another. But at the same time, too, I think you hit the nail on the head. This is why you reach out to Joey. You make sure, hey, I'm going to do what I need to do just in case to make sure my loved ones, at least financially, you can't fix the other part, the emotional part and the heartache and all of that. But at least, hey, they're going to be able to stay in the home. They're going to be able to go to college. They're going to be able to, whatever it was they were planning on doing, they're going to be able to do with or without you. So a little somber today on this Monday. We'll be back with more Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't touch that dial. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Monday. We've got Joey with us and, talking about life and all the things that evolve around that. And Joey, we're talking about that mindset. And again, I think that for a lot of people, they've got to kind of work up to it. But this is one of those years where, hey, it really is going to be in their best interest to sit down and at least make that first phone call with you and start that planning process, because it looks like 2023 is going to be the year of change when it comes to a lot of the things that people have grown so accustomed to, the endless money printing from the central bank, and now they're trying to contract the money supply. We've got bank CEOs warning about the health of the consumer, and at the same time, again, on Wednesday, we're expecting another rate hike from the Fed.
Yeah, things are just absolutely crazy, and it's making sure that we can give ourselves a good peace of mind going into this new year. That one, we've talked about things. We've had the hard conversations and really, talked about, hey, what problems could arise next year and how can we combat that and what are some solutions we can be taking advantage of. I know, life is crazy. The holidays are coming around and most people want to wait to chat after the holidays, but really now is the time to get things in place. There's some tax structuring we can talk about for the new year. And overall, just give people a peace of mind knowing going into the holidays, Christmas, the new year, that you have someone in your corner backing you up, making sure everything's correct, and someone that's going to ask you tough questions. And I'm really going to make you think and have these conversations with you and your loved ones yourself to really make you think on, hey, what is it should I be doing financially, or what should I be looking into financially? I think it's very important that we talk, because every time I chat with people, they're always like, wow, I never really thought about this. I never really thought about that. And we're really just going to put things into perspective. If I could change the label of my title from financial advisor, it'd be more like a financial therapist. We're really helping people navigate these tough waters and tough times. And it can be hard to make that phone call or have these conversations. But honestly, I think you'll come into every meeting feeling a lot better about what's going on and where you're at, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It's never too late to start this planning. It's never too late to take action. It's never too late to have a conversation. And it's just something that I think everyone should benefit from, and everyone should have someone in their corner. And I'll be there in your corner, making sure that we're helping you out, reaching out to you at all times. But it's really just having the mindset of, hey, let's start taking some action today. Let's dial the phone. Let's have a phone call. Let's set up a meeting. Let's get some things in place or at least answer some questions before we get into the new year. Because as you mentioned, things are going to get crazy. The rate hikes are coming Wednesday. Things are going to change, and the outlook of everything is changing. There's a ton of layoffs going around. How do we put ourselves in the great position, in the best position we can be, and not only for yourself today, but for your friends and for your families, and making sure that no matter what happens, we are set up and we have a game plan that we can execute on in the future.
I think a lot of people would be surprised. I think a lot of people think it's overwhelming, and there's no way I can do it. You know, we're barely getting by. It is. I'm putting some money, putting a little bit in the 401k, but man, I just don't see how we're going to be able to do it. And a lot of times after you sit down and talk to these people, it really isn't the big monstrosity that they made it out to be. I think a lot of people, you know what, they feel like it's such a big problem. It's going to be so overwhelming that their best thing they can do is just ignore it and not think about it. And then a lot of the times after you talk to them, they didn't even realize, hey, we're really not that far away from being able to do a lot of things we didn't think we could.
Yeah, exactly. I chat with people all the time, and they think exactly what you're talking about. You know, there's too much going on. I can't retire, or this and that. The interest rates are going up. What do I do? I'm putting a little bit of money with my 401k, and really you're probably going to leave this conversation extremely excited and happy and hopeful for the future. You know, we're going to put things into place for you. We're going to walk you through everything step by step. We're not going to confuse you and show you these elaborate things that just don't make sense. We're going to make sure that we're completely transparent in everything. And I think the thing I do every day is financial education. Right? We're educating people on things that you don't learn in school, you don't learn in the news, you don't learn from the media. And we're showing people how rich people got rich, how to stay rich, how to preserve your wealth, how to make sure that we're living the lifestyle we want to live when we do enter retirement. And that means something different to everyone, whether it be financial security, making sure we don't have to worry paycheck to paycheck. How do we put money aside in the most tax-efficient way possible? There's a lot of little things we do, but we make sure to not overwhelm people or our clients. We're going to do one thing, one step at a time. We're really just going to walk you through it. We do a lot of hand-holding for people. As we know, it's crazy, it's weird, it's different to have these conversations, but it's something at the end of the day that people need, and that we need to just at least have a conversation before the holidays come in, because there might be something we can execute before then that could really set you up and change your whole new year coming into 2023. So I just urge people to reach out. My personal cell is 602-909-9048. Again, that's 602-909-9048. If I don't answer, probably in a meeting with someone, leave me a voicemail or a text, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I really just look forward to working with you guys and seeing if my team and I can be a resource for you. And at the end of the day, set ourselves up for 2023 in the best situation we can be in.
Amen to that, Joey. I know you're busy. I know you got to run. Thank you for taking the time. And I'll just echo that. Reach out to a loved one today. Let them know that you're thinking about them. And you can always get Joey's information at the 1360 website, 1360khnc.com. Go to the sponsor page. You'll see Joey's business card there. Just click on it. It'll give you all that information. Love you, Joey. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too. Talk to you soon.
All right. So anyway, get that done. Listen, it is vital. It really is. You cannot survive in this type of environment here financially. I mean, think about how big the IRS tax code is. Just that, I mean, you can commit suicide by jumping off that thing, Jason. I find it amazing that people think they can get by without this type of advice. And the great part about, Joey's at Northwestern Mutual for a reason. Because they're just the best at it. There are no fee. They don't charge you to talk to them. They lay out everything that they're going to do. They're fiduciary, so they're going to do what's in your best interest. And the best part is Jason, they don't have their own products that they like to sell because those are always all the high commission stuff. And these people are essentially, hey, these are the only things we're allowed to sell. He's got it all. His team has it all. And Jason, as you know, I think 2023 is going to be a wild year.
Yeah, I think Joey is a good option versus a lot of other ways to go when it comes to whatever assets you're trying to move or protect or add on to. And I find that the one thing I found interesting, he's talking, we've mentioned this before, obviously, but, people not wanting to retire yet. I don't think I can make it with what I've got. Hey, I was going to retire this year. Now maybe it's going to be 4 years from now. And inflation can change those decisions, Joe. But then I ran across this fact over the weekend. The numbers growing. People aged 18, and there was two numbers I saw, but I'll do the bigger number. People aged 18 into their 50s, like 55, 18 to 50, pretty much all adults except for super grandparents and great grandparents. Almost 20 million of them living at home, Joe. 20 million. It's a new record, I guess, is what I saw. So those kinds of things, inflation and people moving back in, that can change your retirement plans very quickly.
Yeah, think about that. You know what was interesting? As they lied about inflation, is during 2022, it's 2022. I mean, obviously not a great year by any means, but at least as far as jobs go, people were working. Right now, yep, was the economy slowing? Yes. Was inflation raging? Absolutely. But even that, that 9 million people, these adults that Jason's talking about, 9 million of them had to move back home, Jason. We're going backwards.
Yeah, 9 million just moved back in recently. Yeah, that's a huge number, Joe. And I've seen it in my own life. Friends, family members, acquaintances, people and you're seeing. I mean, 3 and sometimes 4 generations of people living at home now together. It shows you that it's very unaffordable in America right now.
Yeah, it really is shocking when you see. It's one thing to say, okay, hey, he's 18 living at home. He's 20 living at home. Maybe even up to maybe 25, right? And 25 is kind of pushing it, right? But when you're sitting there and you're seeing people in their 30s, in their 40s, back at mom and dad's house, and a lot of times they're there with their kids. Like Jason said, you got grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, and the grandkids all under one roof, just because they really can't survive any other way. They're right. It's not possible for them to get out there. And these are people, and they're working, Jason. They have jobs.
I saw some video in California. Your normal suburban neighborhood, and the whole block. There was a couple of blocks that were driving through. Every single house in this neighborhood had 5 to 8 cars in front of it. There was too many cars to park on the streets because people were moving into these homes that couldn't afford to live wherever they were living before. They moved into the suburban home where somebody has an extra room or two, but all the cars come with it, Joe. It was crazy. I mean, like I said, 5 to 8 cars in front of almost every one of these houses. It was full driveways, 2 cars in the garage, outside the garage. The streets were filled up because, where else are you going to go, Joe? You got to go where it's the cheapest possible living place that you can go.
And this is kind of the new America now right? This is the lowering of the standard of living. I mean, what standard of living do you have if you're living in your parents' house? What standard of living is that? Right, and we talked about home affordability. I'll tell you right now, here in Phoenix, in up where we live, the open house signs this weekend, you couldn't drive down a street without seeing one, Jason. It really is interesting how all of this is going to play out. And of course, let's not forget, they're going after these digital assets like we said that they would, the Bitcoins of the world. Jamie Dimon calling them pet rocks and essentially saying they're worth nothing. At the same time, the government picking up speed on the central bank digital currency and trying to pretend like somehow, oh no, everything's going to be great. Listen, I got a bad feeling about 2023. I'm just telling you right now, this is starting to creep me out because you got Janet Yellen talking about how we're working as hard as we can to get inflation to come down, and don't worry, it's going to come down. But now you're starting to hear these bankers say things that bankers don't normally say. How about Bank of America today? So Jamie Dimon last week was on CNBC and talking about the economy. Jim Cramer got all upset. I don't know why he's talking so bad, and he shouldn't do that. Bank of America today said, hey, you know that 2% inflation target? You know the one that they made this big deal of? They keep talking about it. Yeah, they just made it up. It actually doesn't mean anything at all. In other words, Jason, what are they doing? They're getting us ready to have much higher inflation long term. And don't worry about it. You're just going to need to live in this new higher inflation world.
Where we're headed, Joe, is where we're headed. I think the inflation that's been higher the last year and a half, I think we'll be seeing this for many, many months to come.
Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. Welcome back. Patriot Radio News Hour brought to you by our sponsor, Y-Refi. And, we just talked to Joey talking about the craziness that's expected. Y-Refi gives you the opportunity to get high returns. It's not correlated to the stock market at all. Your portfolio, what it's going to look like every month. You don't have to worry about, because especially nowadays, people open up or go online and look at their 401k balances or whatever it may be and realize, man, gosh, we're down another 5%, we're down another 10%. That doesn't happen with Y-Refi. You never have to worry about what your statements are going to look like. You're guaranteed that high rate of return. You can use it for monthly income, or you can compound it. You can do whatever you want. No loss of principal if you decide that you want your money back at any time. Check out my friends at Y-Refi. Invest YRefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then REFY.com, or call 888-YREFI-24, 888-YREFI-24. And also, same thing, they're on our sponsor page at 1360. Jason, Andre Marquez, the Mises Institute, wrote a really good article this weekend about the central bank digital currency and what they're really planning on here. And this is something I want people to pay attention to. We've been warning you about this money in the bank. We've been warning you that they didn't fix the problem. We've been warning you that all of these derivatives are once again these hidden time bombs. And what wasn't it? Nobody should have been shocked last week when they kind of admitted, we've got a problem in a different derivative, right? It shouldn't matter what derivative it is. If you fix the derivative problem, you fix the derivative problem. But, Jason, they didn't fix it.
No, they didn't. I didn't get to read that. I actually saw that. I didn't get a chance to go through it because I was looking at other stuff. But, they didn't fix anything. And that's what we talked about, that 85 or 60
$65 to $80 billion, depending on how you do math, on these derivatives that banks would be set up for losses for. They don't have that kind of money. And now this digital currency, the Mises Institute lays it out pretty plainly, talking about the power given. And why would we give power like this to a private central bank that really is nothing more than an extension of a government agency? But here's the ability that it gives the government. How much a person can spend. Think about it. Hey, that's all you get to spend this. You know what? You hit your carbon footprint for the month. Establishing expiration dates for deposits. This is a big one. This is one of the things the bankers really want. So think about how it's worked recently when the government gives you money, right? Think about all the stimulus checks. Remember the stimulus checks? Jason, they're going to now have the ability to do two things with these types of monies. Number one, they're going to tell you what you can spend it on and what you can't. In other words, hey, here's a stimulus check, but you can't spend it on vacation. Here's a stimulus check, but you can't pay off your credit card. But what you can do is you can pay your rent or buy food. The other thing that they can do is they can give it an expiration date. Say, hey, you've got to spend it. You've got to, whatever, January 31st, and then whatever you didn't spend, the money is simply gone. But the biggest piece in here, and this is the part of why I keep telling you, don't have a lot of extra money sitting in these bank accounts. Punish people that save money. And Jason, I think that's really the biggest thing when you look at what they did do. What did they fix with Dodd-Frank? Well, they fixed it to make sure that the depositors that save money, they're the ones that are going to be on the hook.
Yeah, that's the way it's going to work for sure. And you're going to be told what you can or can't do, just like Joe said, and when you can do it, and why you can do it. It's every question you could ask about your money will be solved by them and their control over it. Joe, the digital currency acceptance is being tested. I brought on the air, I think it was about a month ago, I talked about Nigeria, Joe. They're projected by the end of this century to be the most populated country in the world. More than China, more than India, it's going to be Nigeria. And they brought out their digital currency. It's out there. Their central bank digital currency, and it's side by side against Bitcoin and cash. And Nigeria didn't accept it. They don't use it. They've had all these things to sugarcoat it and make you really want hey, we're going to give you extra central bank digital currencies if you use it. They did everything they could on the nice end. Well, now, Joe, they've gone to they've already had these controls, but it's gotten severe. How much cash you could pull out? They're gonna really make it a side by side.
ATM withdrawals. Yep.
Yeah, the 20,000 naira. That is what they just set the new limit on. That's $45 American. That's all you could pull out every day. It used to be 150,000 naira per day. That used to be the limit you could pull out. That's about $350. 100,000 a week is all you can pull. They won't even let you do 20,000 a day, Joe. I guess the weekend you're not allowed to pull money out or something, but only 100,000 naira a day, which is $250 a week. That's all you can pull out, cash. So they're smashing cash hard in Nigeria, and they're forcing people to choose. It's going to be a choice between Bitcoin or the central bank digital currency, Joe, and you know what's going to end up happening. This is going to be the test case on how digital currencies will be forced upon people. They'll let you look like think you have a little bit of a choice, and then they'll just flip it once they've got you pretty much going into their digital currency, Joe.
Yeah, and things are happening in a lot of places. We haven't even talked about the China-Saudi Arabia meeting that concluded over the weekend, and some really interesting things coming out of there. First and foremost, obviously these trade deals that they signed. Both parties said coming soon, the ability for China to buy oil in renminbi, right? This is, again, one of the next steps, things in the UK that are happening that you don't think will affect us, but absolutely will. You've got cities now, Jason, that are issuing permits that dictate how often you are allowed to go to another city in the name of climate change. You have to buy a special permit for that. You think about, like when I go to work, right? I live in Scottsdale. I get into Phoenix, and thankfully I don't get into Peoria or Glendale. But could you imagine people? Hey, I commute to work. I just drove through 5 different cities. And now I'm going to get hit with a central bank digital currency permitting fee because of my carbon footprint. All of this stuff is happening in one form or another all over the globe. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, Joe and Jason. And maybe the mantra needs to be, and Jason, you've been using this line, how much freedom can you afford? In the UK now, proposals all over the place. As a matter of fact, they're saying, hey, we don't care what the citizenry thinks. This is what we're going to do, limiting how many times you can leave your city in a year. And of course, a permit that needs to be purchased to do so. France, banning all domestic air travel that is less than 2.5 hours. So think about this. Hey, nope, you gotta take the train, or you gotta find another way there because you know what? In the name of quote unquote climate change, we want to restrict what you can do. How about in the Netherlands? Now this is big because most people don't know the Netherlands is a major food producer. Matter of fact, I think they're second, which is kind of shocking because it's not that big of a country. I think they're second behind the United States when it comes to food exports. The government is going to be buying and shutting down 3,000 farms in order to, quote, reduce its nitrogen pollution. The Dutch government says that they're going to force the selling of over 3,000 farms. I don't know the logic behind it, which farms stay, which ones don't. But again, Jason, all of these things, we've got this three-pronged monster. We got the central bank digital currency. We've got what I'll call the COVID or the health mandates now that somehow global bodies have the power to dictate it over, and then climate change, all working in concert.
Yeah, climate change, that's the war that, the boogeyman that they're going to put the entire population of the world against. Hey, we have to have this joint cause, this war against this horrible climate change, and that's how they're going to get the majority of the people to sign on to this thing. You got to have a fight, right? Every time you watch a movie, and I love movies, but I don't like when you have these. I don't know, they have like 3 movies. They have to have a series of movies. The third movie is always about the big war that happens. There always has to be a war at the end, right, Joe? Well, the war against climate change, and they get everyone to sign on to that, and they go to a digital currency. You have these social credit scores. It's game over as far as your freedom to, like Joe said, travel where you want to go, buy what you want to buy, do what you want to do, work where you want to work, own firearms if you want to own firearms, your free speech. All of that is going to be under control by a system, Joe, and climate change is a key ingredient. You got to have something to war against, so that there's this cause that way there's that guilt. Oh, you don't recycle? You're not recycling? That's against. Oh, you are an evil person. You did not put that plastic thing in the recycle bin, Joe, and then you're the bad guy.
Yeah, and again, all of this coming, and think about our standard of living. Think about what they've already been able to accomplish and how hard it is. Last week we talked about home affordability. It's never been worse. The fact that so many people have to live with mom and dad and their grandma and grandpa, and there's really no way out. And then you get things like on Friday where Bank of America was talking about this 2% inflation target. And I remember when Janet Yellen and Ben Bernanke came up with this, I was on the air telling you, listen, that's just the starting number. That's not going to last very long. And next thing you know, they're going to rate, 3% or 4%. B of A saying there's nothing special about 2%. The Federal Reserve in its 2% inflation target. Other countries came up with the same target, kind of, trying to give that perception that 2% meant something and somehow that 2% was perfect. B of A says that forget about that. We've got a completely different take about this number because at the end of the day, the Fed needs to start considering moving the target the first time, and it's seriously being tested. It's undercutting the central bank's credibility, raising real concerns about the true degree of the slippery slope that the Federal Reserve is on right now, and saying that this 2% policy, Jason, isn't going to last much longer. And that really tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to measure whether it was ever 2% to begin with. It seems like inflation was always a little higher than that anyways, Joe. So the 5% floor, is that what it's going to be, Joe? What do you think?
Well, you know what's funny? They're saying 4%. B of A was saying 4%. They think that, everybody I think is agreed right now. The Fed has to raise rates to at least 5. But here's the problem. 5 could work if inflation was 5, but inflation's almost 8. So that doesn't work. That dog doesn't hunt. Now, I guess depending on how fast the layoffs come, but here's the one thing that B of A is trying to let everybody know. That 2%, that's garbage, and we're never going back to that again, Jason, because they printed too much money.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, because the monetary policies they've had over the last 50 years, this is where they're at. So with a great monetary reset, Joe, I guess maybe they can fix the numbers and come up with the ranges they want, Joe. But you're right. There's I don't know how they sponge up and clear out all the money that's here, except for a massive world collapse. And I don't see the type of world collapse where everybody's debts are suddenly forgiven, Joe. So this money they printed is going to be there because, once again, all the debt equals all the money that's created, Joe. We're in a debt money system.
Yeah. We're going to wrap it up here. Wait till you hear what Bank of America said about how they came up with this 2%. What a joke. We'll be back. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason here. And again, we continue to be the leader in pricing on Silver Eagles. I want to say, was it David Morgan was talking about the potential that they may stop minting Silver Eagles altogether. I don't know about that, but in the future, could you see silver get that expensive where that happens? I guess anything is possible. I had customers calling, reaching out today. $780 a roll on Silver Eagles. And if you want to buy it by the case, save some money, $19,000 at 800-951-0592. Jason and I will dig into that and we'll report more later in the week. But I want to wrap up with Bank of America and what they said about this 2% target that the Federal Reserve had come up with. And it really was very interesting because they said that essentially there was no economic data. There was no huge economic study that was the backing for this number. They said that the central bank just kind of made it up, Jason. They said that when we really look at this 2% target, the Federal Reserve actually can't back it up with any type of economic model or any type of whatever, economic theory to support why 2% would be a good number anyway.
Yeah, so I've said that many times that, Joe, money is just a made-up thing. It can be anything. Anything can be money, right? So when it comes to, let's just set the inflation or the rate, the inflation of 2%. That's our target rate. It's all made up. Now that they can come up with all kinds of circumstantial evidence why it has to be that number, why it has to be 4 later, why it has to be 6 later. It's all made up, Joe. The whole thing, money is just a made up thing. This is why we sell gold and silver, Joe. Gold is a thing. It's a commodity. It's something you hold in your hand. It's not made up. Some guy didn't think it up and just say, now the value of gold versus something else, that could be debatable, but gold as a thing, Joe, it's savings. It's an item. There's only so much of it per human being. It has a balance in nature, so to speak. And that's why we sell that here on Patriot Trading Group because, you can't really trust what these guys are making up, can we?
No, and again, to find out, and I think we knew this all along, there was no basis here. They just picked it because they thought it was close enough to zero that they would get by with it. And of course, what did they do? They used the cheerleading channels. They used Fox and CNBC and Bloomberg to tell us how this was some sort of great economic achievement and this 2% nonsense. And then they told us what? For almost 15 years, we can't get to 2%. We just can't do it, as they were printing and printing and printing and printing. And of course, they weren't really tracking inflation to begin with. And now all of a sudden, Jason, all that printing's come home to roost. And what we found out was there was the printing we knew about, which was already a lot, and then the printing we didn't know about, which made the printing we knew about seem insignificant.
That's right, Joe. That's right. Why do I have the feeling that there's a lot of money moving around that they're not talking about in the news that we report every day, right?
Every single day. Make sure you're protected. Make sure you have some barterable material, especially with this digital currency coming. 800-951-0592.